words of Marvin Gaye, there's got to be other notes someplace in some dimension between the cracks on the piano keys. So in the musical realm, those notes between the cracks of conventional pitches are called blue notes.
Those notes between the cracks of the keys.
The cracks.
That's excellent. Yo, 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 welcome into another episode of the show. I'm Ryan O'Leary.
And I'm Mike Zika.
And this, of course, is the Bourbon Playbook.
It's another podcast in the basement.
How we doing, Freaky Zeke?
Hey, doing well, man. How goes it? How goes the big 4-0?
Hey, not yet. See,
Well, close enough.
I had people texting me on Monday, which is actually your birthday. You're 35th, right?
Yeah.
Happy belated, my man.
Appreciate it.
I did a little celebrating this weekend. That was fun.
Good time.
Yeah, no, I had people texting me on Monday being like, happy birthday, man. I'm like, it's not yet. No, you got to wait another week. I'm not 40 yet, okay? We're not jumping the gun
trying
here.
to soak it all in.
No, I'm not. I'm trying to pretend it's not happening. So don't jump the gun and say happy birthday a week early. How dare you thoughtful people text me?
I apologize, Mr. Boston.
Exactly. But yeah, turning 40, man. I'll let you know next week how I'm feeling. Right now, I'm pretending it's not happening. So
I don't see any grays over there, so you're fine.
No, it's going straight to white. That's the problem.
Silver Fox, man. You got a couple of years.
What do we got over here? This bottle looks pretty dope, and I've never seen this one before, especially not out here.
Yeah, you're definitely not going to find this in Minnesota quite yet. I think it's trying to make its way here, but ultimately this bottle is a Memphis-born pour. It's got a little bit of soul and a little bit of rock and roll bite to it, right? So we are covering Blue Note Juke Joint. 93 proof, MSRP's around kind of that $35 to $40 price point there. But I'm excited to dive into it, man. It's something you're not going to find around here. It's a little unique, and I think you're going to enjoy the tasting notes, man. This
is a cool bottle, actually. I really like this label.
It is.
Right?
It is.
Like it's got the outline of the guitar. It's also got like the little guitar there in the letter U.
Yeah,
right?
I love the marketing. It's got that sharp kind of almost like a blue foil. It tells a little bit of the story of that rock and roll just by looking at the bottle. You're like, this is a little bit different. Like, where's this from? And when you understand it's a Memphis, you got the music scene over there, the guitar, and there's a lot that goes into that just really almost tells a story even before you take that first sip. So I'm stoked to dive into this, man.
Yeah, we'll be talking bourbon and blues, and we'll be diving into more detail on this bourbon here coming up in a little bit. But Zeke, I was thinking maybe we could do a joint double pour on the Masters. What do you think?
Let's dive into it, man. Tee me up.
You're a golf guy, right? I know you have golf clubs. You're kind of like me, right? You have golf clubs, but you're not really a golf guy.
A lot of dust on them. But, I mean, that first shot, every summer, you almost, it looks like you hit a fake golf ball because all the dust flies off.
Yeah.
So I truly enjoy the sport. That doesn't mean, A, I'm good at it, or B, I follow it. But the Masters was kind of fun this week, eh?
Journey is over. McIlroy has his masterpiece.
Who needed a bourbon more than Rory McIlroy after that thing? Whatever that was on Sunday. And I know people probably have all kinds of different opinions on what that was. And I think most people are going to land on historic, right? He's the 6th player, I think, ever to do the career Grand Slam. He needed the Masters. He finally won that tournament.
Yeah.
He exercised the demons. He got it done. He's on a short list with like Jack Nicklaus and Tiger Woods with the career Grand Slam. So in some sense it was a victory pour, but in another it was like this crazy, almost brutal, almost hard to watch, which made it really entertaining, right? Meltdown on the course where he literally was able to both choke it away and get it back and somehow still survive in the end. I mean, I'm not a big golf guy. At least watching golf, right? Spending a weekend watching golf, like so many of our buddies here in the neighborhood do. Like they're so into it. But I will say this, watching Rory kind of gag that thing away on Sunday, even though he did end up winning it, was some of the most entertaining TV I've seen in a long time. So don't kid yourself when Rory's crying on the course after like he's just like, oh my God, I won it. It was relief. It was relief more than anything because he was so worried he was going to blow that thing again, and he kind of almost did.
Gold jacket, green jacket, who gives a shit?
Yeah. Oh! Oh, no. Oh, no, Rory.
Are you kidding me? And you can take one arm out of that green jacket. He's got work to do.
Nobody needed a bourbon more than Rory McIlroy after that thing.
Yeah, pour it out to Rory, man. How about that guy? It's so funny because I believe Katie K was making fun of you earlier for falling asleep on the couch watching the Masters.
I snuck a nap in.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I get it.
They talk so quietly on the broadcast. They're like, and Rory, stepping up to the 14th tee.
Journey it's taken to get here. For all this history.
You know, can you guys talk a little louder? Like a little more energy? Like,
Damn you people, this is golf! Not a rock concert!
The only thing that was gripping and could keep you awake if you're not like this diehard golf fan, and I get it, some people are diehard golf fans. Like I'm a diehard NFL fan. I'll watch any NFL. A lot of the guys in our neighborhood, a lot of our friends, a lot of people our age are diehard golf guys, and we'll be riveted watching that thing. It was entertaining because Rory choked again, and he barely hung on and was able to grind that thing out at the end. He did not have it. He even admitted afterwards that he was nervous. He made a really funny comment after saying,
I'd like to start this press conference with a question myself. What are we all going to talk about next year?
Like dude was a nervous wreck on that course, basically having a nervous breakdown in front of our eyes on national TV and the biggest moment of his career. And I loved it. It was excellent. It was excellent TV. I really enjoyed the misery that Rory went through.
Time to go home there, Ball.
Son of a bitch, Ball, why didn't you just go home? That's your home! Are you too good for your home? Answer me! Suck my white ass, Ball!
So question for you. Rory McIlroy, as a huge golf nut like you are, 4 majors, 24 PGA Tour wins.
Yeah.
Basically flashes of brilliance, right?
I mean, he's the best golfer in the world right now.
Okay, let's rewind the clock back to the 2000s. Tiger Woods. I'm going to let you guess how many majors and how many PGA Tour wins he had.
I want to say Nicholas. I don't have the number in front of me. I want to say he's got like, I'm going to guess Tiger has 18.
Closer than I thought you'd get.
Okay.
15 majors.
He has, so Jack has 18, I think.
Okay, that would make sense.
Maybe Jack Nicklaus has 18 or 19, and Tiger's was trying to catch him in his body. He's just break it down. He's not going to catch him.
And then here's my favorite part: the PGA Tour wins.
I mean, it's probably close to 100, honestly. Tiger was unbelievable. 75?
82.
Okay. So that was pretty close.
So we're sitting here talking about how Rory McIlroy is like the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Oh, he's not even, obviously not even close to Tiger. I mean,
today, in today's terms, you know.
Well, I mean, if Tiger Woods had a 4-shot lead after already making the turn in a major, he would have annihilated everyone. It wouldn't have been, you could turn off the TV. It was over.
Sunday Tiger, right? That red polo.
Yeah, the thing with Tiger is like a lot of his majors, he came back and it was like this, riveting thing where you watch him make the comeback. Like, oh, Tiger's in the hunt. That's what about. Tiger's lurking in the weeds. He's not playing his best, but oh, look out on Sunday. Here he comes. Right. But if he was in the lead like Rory, we're talking about two different humans. Like the reason Rory was must-watch TV on Sunday is because you were waiting for him to screw it up and miss shots that he could make in his sleep, right? And he literally started doing that when he was up by 4 shots going into like the 12th or 13th hole or something. It was crazy. Like Tiger was so much more of a dominant winner, and proven winner than Rory. I mean, yeah, Rory's never going to get to that level. But right now, as we're talking with all the, these guys are kind of made in a lab. They're all cloned. These guys all look the same out there, kind of. It's like the difference is does he have a beard or not? Otherwise, they're the same. They look the same.
Tight
same
pants,
swing,
bucket hats.
Yeah.
Shit, man. The only cool person that makes a ton of money that can rock a bucket hat and get away with it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. And it's, it's just a little bit different than it was in the 2000s. Right?
I mean, think about how Tiger Woods put golf on the map, though. Like, I never played golf growing up, really. And then all of a sudden Tiger Woods 2008 for PlayStation 2 comes out. Like it wasn't just a game. It was truly like a rite of passage, right? I mean, this was a game that, you know, I thought by the time that I started playing golf, like, where's my Tiger vision? If for those that have ever played and remember, you get like one stroke that like one putt per like 18 holes. And it tells you basically there's a little dot and you line it up. It's super easy, right? But yeah, it was just, it was so cool to play that, watch him at the same time. I mean, shit, I think I even bought my first polo and I needed it to be red Nike polo. You know what I mean? to rock in school. So yeah, definitely a fun time. He owned that era for sure.
Yeah, but just kind of wrap this thing up. Rory shoots a 73. Holds off Justin Rose, who shot a 66 on the final day and caught him and almost won it. Rory needed a pour of brown juice after that. He definitely he deserved it. He should feel good about his win. You know, he shouldn't have an asterisk or anything stitched into his green jacket. Although, you know, my opinion might be different than some of the other people in the neighborhood. He barely won it, but good for him. But the brown juice was probably the same color as the brown streaks, if you know what I mean, in the undies, because that was a rough day for Rory, although it was also the best day of his life. So it's just that's sports to me, man. That emotional roller coaster is everything. So pour it out to Rory, man.
That's
Masters
Golf
champion.
101. Congrats, buddy.
You've got mail.
The mailman just rolled
I
up.
love it.
Question from the box this week. It comes from Greg Lagan.
What's up, Greg? Thanks for writing.
Greg's message to us: let's get vulnerable, fellas. What's the most desperate thing you've ever done for a highly allocated bottle of hooch?
Why don't you go first, and I will think over here.
The sad thing is I know his story, and it's going to be so much better than mine, but I'll tell mine first. So one time I made 3 separate deliveries in a single day. In other words, I met up with 3 different people off Facebook Marketplace and basically sold and delivered these bottles just to get the cash to purchase the final bottle, right? And I think at the time it was a bottle of Booker's, 2 Blue Runs before they were here in Minnesota. And I was really just trying to get the cash to flip it into a Weller Full Proof. And eventually, by the time I got that bottle and I talked to some of my bourbon buddies, they're like, dude, you overpaid by $80. And so I was flying all over the metro trying to drop these 2 bottles to get the cash to flip it, because they're always you always want to trade up, and it didn't end up happening. I mean, it was super embarrassing. By the time I look at the bottle and I'm like, it's foolproof. Don't get me wrong. It's one of my favorite pours, but it's you just kind of gave the house away. It's kind of like the Luca trade. You know what I mean? What are you doing?
Yeah.
I guess you're happy, but
yeah.
I look back and I'm like, God, I was stupid. I was young, had way too much time on my hands for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I thought I struck gold and realized I got hustled. So I'm just a irresponsible degenerate at the end of the day.
Yeah, I don't have any great stories because I wasn't a bourbon collector before we started this podcast. Since I've moved to Minnesota, it would probably have to be just pulling the fast one on Neighbor Zach.
Neighbor Zach.
Yeah, Neighbor Zach had a couple bottles of Blanton's. I was happy to offload one. I unknowingly threw him $60 on Venmo, and he accepted. And realized after the fact from you, Zika, that I ripped him off pretty good on the secondary there, unfortunately for Blanton's, which you just can't find on the shelf out here.
Below MSRP.
Yeah, I paid below MSRP on the secondary. So that was a neat trick. So I don't know if that's desperate as much as that's just me being that's basically me being George Remus. I'm just being a shyster. I was a gangster. I was a bourbon gangster on his ass.
You got to use it, man.
Yeah.
That's.
But, to quote Neighbor Zach, he wasn't going to drink it. So I took that thing off his hand. But yeah, nothing too desperate over here. What was Greg's story?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it's funny because Greg's actually my director, my old company. He got me into bourbon a long time ago.
Oh, I've heard a lot about Greg, actually. Never the name, but I've heard about your old director. So
yeah, absolutely.
What's up, Greg?
Absolute homie, man. He's the best. But the funniest thing is he has some hookups right outside. I know where the liquor store is. It's not too far away from the office in Des Moines. And there's an Indian fellow that owns it. And apparently he'd never driven a truck before. I don't know how he gets to work. I'm sure maybe he has a car. Maybe he just hasn't. I don't even know if he had his license actually. But Greg went in to try to swindle him for a bottle of booze. And it's different in Iowa because everything's allocated by the state. So when a liquor store literally gets a bottle of Stag because it has a website that you can look it up, right? So obviously, Greg did his research ahead of time. Hey, I saw I just saw on the website that you guys received 2 bottles of Stag. Like, I'd love to purchase one. Like, what do I got to do? And this Indian fella that owned the liquor store, he's like, I'll sell it to you if I can drive your truck. Like, what a weird request, right? So he's like, he's never driven a truck in his entire life. And I mean, he's in his like 40s, right? Late 40s. And next thing you know, Greg hands him the keys and there's like an open parking lot. And this dude just starts ripping donuts around the parking lot. And he's like, holy shit, what did I just sign up for?
Yeah.
And then he stops, he puts it in park. I thought he said that there was even like a cop maybe coming over like a side street. And he's just like, breaking out the rosary, saying a couple Hail Marys. And then eventually the guy pulls up, takes out the keys, throws them at him. He's like, all right, let's go get you your bottle. So
that's crazy.
And he actually had a double-barreled question here. So the first question, again, let's get vulnerable. Wanted to know the most desperate thing we've done for a highly allocated bottle. The second one was, what was your first ever drain pour and why? And he said his was Templeton's Barrel Proof Rye. He said, that sucker lit my soul on fire, and not in a good way. Instant regret.
So drain pour is a bourbon you literally pour down your kitchen sink.
Like, you either give it away and feel bad because that other person's probably going to do the same thing, or you literally just take an L, put it on your forehead, and turn it down and pour that bottle out. Yeah.
Okay. I don't think I've ever done that. What about you? Have you ever poured brown juice down the drain?
One bottle, and it was actually High West Campfire.
Did it taste like a campfire?
It did. And I'm just, listen, I know it's the world's finest blend of bourbon, scotch, and rye. It sounds sexy, but really it's that smoky, peaty, campfire, lighting your lungs on fire type whiskey that I'm just not a fan of at all, right? I'm still working on the scotches and the peaty notes, but I can't do it, so for me, I'll sip on some Johnny Walker. I know there's actually a lot of good scotches out there. I love a sherry finish cask. But outside of that, like this High West Campfire was just a no-go for me. I'm like going to the sink immediately. And it's not like the cheapest bottle either. So I felt bad doing it, but I couldn't put it in like my infinity bottle. And like, I had a couple other better scotches on my shelf that if people came over, like that's the last thing I'm going to offer them. So I was like, either I offload this on some random person, but like they'll have no idea what it is and they probably won't like it either. So I'm like, all right, the drain it is.
That's wild. Picturing you pour some brown juice on the drain. That's got to be.
I know. Takes a lot.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, man.
Yeah. That's painful for you.
Hey, what is going on here, huh?
Oh, I was just looking for the other half of this bottle, and there's some of it. Right there's some right there too.
Why don't you just put it down?
Yeah, I know.
But anyway, Greg, thanks for hitting us up with our question from the box. Zika, how can the folks do just what Greg did?
It's going to be tbplaybook.com. Scroll down to the bottom, and you can drop us a dram. Any questions, remarks, smart-ass comments, anything we can do better, worse, or you just want to share a little bit about some delicious brown juice, we're here to share it on the pod. So please take some time, check it out.
Yeah, donate to the Bourbon Fund too, if you want. If you can. If not, subscribing and leaving a review on your favorite platform for the pod is another great way to support us. And we appreciate you all. But thanks again, Greg.
Thanks, G.
Cheers. All right, Zika, back to our bourbon of the week, the Blue Note Juke joint. Here's one thing that sticks out to me about this bottle that you brought over here for the pod. It's wearing a little necklace. Right? It's got a little tag around the neck here.
It's got that.
And
that
I'm just gonna read this. 3-peat platinum, double gold, San Francisco World Spirits Competition, 2022, 23, and 24. Holy crap, this bourbon's on fire, dude. This is like, at least recently, this one's crushing the San Fran Awards 3 years in a row.
Exactly. So, I mean, there's a reason why this bottle says bling bling on the necklace part, right?
I mean, as it should.
Double platinum at the Ascot Awards. Yes, double. And then 22, 23, and 24 double gold at the San Francisco World Spirits Competition. And it also made Fred Minnick's Top 100 under 40, ranked number 7. And I'm not sure if that's like a Men's Health, like sexiest man alive, but the fact that it's number 7 on Fred Minnick, who I assume is a very, very prestige bourbon connoisseur.
Sure.
Top 100 under $40, which I couldn't agree more. I don't know number 7 per se, but it is a very good pour for that price range.
Quick question. We know this is a Tennessee whiskey, Memphis-born, right? Do you have to be in Tennessee to find this bottle? You already said earlier that you're not going to find it in Minnesota, really.
No, that's a great question. The first time I came across it was a couple years ago at my cousin's bachelor party. I was reaching out to some of my bourbon buddies, and they said, hey, if you come across Blue Note, specifically Juke Joint, they have a lot of store picks down there, the uncut, unfiltered ones. Check them out. Unfortunately, this isn't the uncut one. This is a little teaser of it, I would say, right? So, yeah, Blue Note's definitely picking up steam. It's available roughly, I think, 20 states, and it's kind of known for that high proof, high heat, lots of flavor, but also very affordable at the same time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, this one will be a good one to dive into here. Good question. So let's dive into the history here. So Blue Note bourbon. So where it comes from, it's going to come from Memphis, Tennessee. It's the birthplace of the blues soul and now one hell of a bourbon.
Love it.
So BR Distilling Company, founded in 2014 by Macaulay Williams. He was actually a former attorney who traded courtrooms for cooperage.
BR, does that mean anything to us, or?
What another great question from Ryan.
I'm on fire.
Yeah, it actually stands for Blue Note and Riverset Rye. So B is in Blue Note, R is in Riverset Rye. I've personally never heard of Riverset Rye, but I know that they mentioned it was something about 2 flagship brands under their specific distilling company. So the kind of mastermind behind this is actually Alex Castle. So the founding head distiller, and is actually one of the first female to head one of the distilleries in Tennessee. So she helped kind of define Blue Note's signature boldness within their flavor and their profile and their distillation process before leaving behind this whiskey legacy within the city. So what is Blue Note? So a Blue Note is a musical term that actually refers to a note played or sung at a slightly lower pitch than standard, and it's usually for an expressive or emotional effect. You'll hear a lot of artists kind of talk about the Blue Note, right? So it's a key feature in blues, jazz, and soul music, often kind of blending major and minor scales with that moody kind of raw, heartbeat, heartbreaking saxophone type vibe. So in the words of Marvin Gaye, there's got to be other notes someplace in some dimension between the cracks on the piano keys. So in the musical realm, those notes between the cracks of conventional pitches are called blue notes.
Those notes between the cracks of the keys.
In the cracks.
That's excellent.
So let's double click a little bit into the bourbon and where it's from, where it's sourced. So this specific bourbon is actually sourced from Owensboro, Kentucky. So it's aged and bottled in Memphis, and that's where the intense climate kind of speeds up their maturation and gives it that bold flavor within the barrel. So initially, they were sourced from Cascade Hollow Distilling Company, the makers of George Dickel Tennessee whiskey, which we talked about in episode 15, Uncle Nearest. So more recently, much of their whiskey has been sourced from Green River Distilling in Owensboro, Kentucky, though. So once they get their barrels, BR Distilling Company in Memphis ages the bottles in-house. So Memphis's fluctuating river humidity kind of gives it that age process and its own kind of, funky taste and funky soul to it. Kind of think blues, not bland, right?
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Follow me. Following you. And diving a little bit more into the dark side, this is where the blues truly come out, right?
Yeah, there's got to be some tragedy involved, right?
Of course. It's whiskey, man.
There's going to be something tragic and emotional.
Yeah.
Behind this label. I've been waiting for it. What do we got?
So in 2019, a rick house storing Blue Note barrels collapsed during a storm in Memphis-born, Kentucky. So only a small number of those barrels survived and left them exposed to the elements for months. So these barrels are actually called survivor barrels. So they endured a lot of extreme heat, rain, and cold, kind of supercharging that aging process. And the bourbon was later bottled as Blue Note, Juke Joint, uncut, unfiltered, and barrel proof. So despite this, just being 3 to 4 years old, it drinks much older than that. It's got that deep oak, cherry, spice, rich vanilla, but they weren't just done there. So in 2021, they also released another bourbon expression called Crossroads. So it's finished in French oak barrels, and that's what gives it its soft, kind of creamy oak profile. That's actually very complex and a true standout in a lineup. I would compare this to a Elijah Craig toasted barrel, but actually a little bit more full-bodied and truly that like toasted marshmallow, oak, and honey type profile. So now let's double click into kind of what makes this bourbon so special, right? So Memphis has a hot, humid summer and cold, wet winters. So this actually fluctuates and causes the bourbon to expand and contract in these wood barrels more dramatically than in cooler climates like Kentucky Highlands or like Indiana, for instance. So the result of this is more interaction with the wood, right? Bolder flavors, deeper color. It really quickens that development of those rich notes like caramel, vanilla, and oak that we'll hopefully be tasting shortly here. Another kind of cool fact is it's right on the Mississippi River. So that southern humidity adds the moisture to the aging environment, which affects the evaporation process. So more water stays in the barrel while the alcohol evaporates slightly quicker. So this can really smooth out the proof and create that softer mouthfeel with these higher proof bourbons. So the end result of this is you get that rich, well-rounded bourbon with kind of a less harsh ethanol bite, but more of kind of like a mellow heat, which I'm excited to dive into to put it to the test here. And because
sounds up my alley.
Yeah, it is. And because the Blue Note ages it in these barrels in Memphis warehouses, which are usually made out of metal or less climate controlled, it really creates more of a kind of like a drama in the barrel, right? So very complex flavors that develop over time that you will ultimately enjoy in this delicious pour. So there's roughly about 6 different bottles in the lineup. A couple of these that I really want to call out. Again, I already talked about it. The Blue Note Juke Joint. We have the uncut, unfiltered here, the small batch, but they also have the barrel strength, which is packed with bold flavor, sweet oak, spice, caramel, and I even get some notes of cherry and vanilla as well. So that's a fantastic one. A lot of them are going to be store picks as well, especially in that Tennessee area, depending on the liquor store you're at. Crossroads, we already mentioned that, but it's going to be that toasted French oak, a creamy vanilla, marshmallow, mellow spice, fantastic pour. Kind of moving up the lineup here. I've had one of the 3 that I'm going to mention, the Blue Note 9-year, 10-year, and 17-year. I've had the 10-year at my buddy Josh's place, and it was absolutely dynamite. But these are very rare, right? Like we talked about how some of those barrels were sitting outside, during the time when they had the warehouse collapse. And these are some of those bottles. And the 17, I mean, it's super rare. Even like the 9 and the 10, you're just not going to find. I looked all over Tennessee when I was down there. I didn't find any of these. There's plenty of Crossroads, fantastic, and plenty of uncut, single barrel strength. But outside of that, if you can get your hands on a 9, 10, or 17, highly, highly recommend.
How much do you think that 17 is? Probably thousands.
I don't know if it's that expensive, but it's maybe
up there.
Yeah. I mean, it's a fantastic pour, I would assume. I know it's, from my understanding from like the tasting notes, it's similar to like a Schenk's, except a little bit more oaky. So it's got that oak, vanilla, butterscotch. And I mean, it screams like a premium brand. So in summary, these 6 bottles, they're each a little bit unique in their own way. So from literally the warehouse wreckage to whiskey gold, right? Blue Note has truly built this catalog that kind of covers every flavor profile. Including that little bit of Memphis soul, but it's bottled up and ready to play.
Yeah, let's pop it. Blue Note, baby. Let's go. Ooh, there's some heat on the nose, Zika.
Lots of heat for a 93 proof.
It says on the tasting notes here, caramelized banana on the nose. Are you getting that?
I'm not, but I get a ton of vanilla, sweet oak or honey.
Yeah.
Sweet oak's probably a better way to explain it, but you could say honey.
Yeah, sweet oak, caramelized banana, fresh split vanilla bean. I like that.
Yeah, you haven't had a fresh split vanilla bean, dude?
And a hint of toasted marshmallow.
Jeez,
toasted marshmallow I see, right? There's definitely a ton of sweetness here. I'm surprised they don't have any cherry on here. Delicious on the nose.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
Moment of truth?
Moment of truth.
It's not as hot on the palate.
No. It's a little spicy, but
in a good way.
Yeah. And it's funny because when I popped the cork and I tried a little sample, I thought to myself, it's got all the characteristics that you would typically like. It's kind of sweet on the front end, but it finishes with a strong spice.
It's not so much baking spice though. It's like that spice that really hits your palate. You almost feel it like kind of climb up your sinuses almost. Like it really gets in there.
Yeah.
It kind of clears you out, which is anyone who likes spice in any kind of food. It doesn't have to be bourbon, right? Anyone who likes spice in like a soup or a chili or
wings.
Yeah.
Remember that time when you ate those wings?
Yeah.
That literally put me in a body bag and you ate like 8 of them?
Well, nobody else at the table was going to eat them. So
Dude,
I'm just like, I'll take care of these.
Listen, any wings that come out to your table that have chunks of jalapenos or whatever those are in them, like in the actual...
Yeah, they had them like smothered on top. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh God, what did I
like
just
my
sign
spice.
up for?
I like my spice, yeah. But you want to feel it like clearing out your sinuses almost. And this bourbon does it for me. For a 93 proof, that's impressive.
It is good. And like on the front of my tongue, definitely get that sweet caramel and that sweet oak. And then almost like a brown sugar and spice kind of hangs on to the mid palate until like a mid finish for me. It doesn't hang around as long as I want it to throughout the finish, but I definitely taste that brown sugar, kind of the sweet oak, a little bit of caramel or honey, and then maybe a little bit of cherry kind of on the sides of my tongue. But ultimately I think it's a pretty fantastic pour.
Yeah, the cherry, it says on the tasting notes that you should be getting cherry on the palate. I'm getting more cherry on the nose than I am in the glass.
Same. That's the moment of truth, man.
Yeah. So less cherry in the glass, but that's fine. That's not a deal breaker. Some of the stuff here on the tasting notes, like roasted peanuts.
Peanut?
Yes, I have one right here. It's bulky, but I consider it carry-on.
Peanuts.
Oh, I see.
Not getting that.
Don't get that.
I'm not getting roasted peanuts.
Maybe cinnamon.
Cinnamon for sure. That's probably the spice.
Right.
There is something sweet though. That's what it is, right? The brown sugar is the sweetness, but it doesn't taste like cherry to me.
Yeah, I don't know how to explain it. Where does that sweetness come from? And that's where I'm confused with the sweet oak versus like on the nose.
Maybe
I
it's
feel
the
like
peanuts.
It could be.
Yeah.
Well, they talk about on the finish it having like a sweet tobacco tail, which makes me think of some type of amphibian.
I'm not sure what that means. Like the aftertaste of a cigar, maybe?
Yeah, if you're like chewing on a cigar.
Blue Note, baby. This is one that I'll remember, right? It's a very memorable label, like we kind of talked about earlier with the blue and the guitar on the label, and it's a cool looking bottle, and this is one that'll pop at you if you're at a liquor store in the South for sure, and it's definitely worth picking up.
So the mash bill technically isn't released like most bourbons that we've come across, but it is rumored to be at 70% corn, 21% rye, and 9% malted barley. So kind of that, I guess you could kind of classify this as that high rye type mash bill, right?
That's a high rye.
And the 70% corn, I mean, you can tell, right? Like very sweet up front. And then it's fairly smooth at the same time. So I think even though it's 9% malted barley, that's kind of that smooth characteristic.
Yeah.
With the high rye, they kind of work together. And for the age statement, we're looking at a minimum of at least 3 years. But again, understanding the process of the tragedy and the uprising of the brand of Blue Note, this definitely drinks more like an aged whiskey that is could be over 6 to 8 years. I think it's due to that Memphis, Tennessee heat kind of coming out in the aging process. So Ryan, moving on to the E5 scale rating. So where does Blue Note Juke Joint land on the scale for you?
Yeah, good question. All right, so our E5 scale, our rating system, we have our Daily Dram, Impress My Guests, Budget Blend, Saturday Night Sipper, and Precious Pour, Skyuma, Row the Boat.
Attaboy. I'm so impressed. Look how far you've come, man.
The hard part about being the standard is you are the standard.
Obviously, $35 MSRP, not a Precious Pour, not PJ Fleck approved. Sorry, Blue Note, just not going to get it done. Not an elite pour, but a solid pour nonetheless. And for the same reason, kind of, I feel like it's not a daily dram. I feel like this is a perfect daily dram if you live in Tennessee or one of these southern states where Blue Note's on the shelf. If you live on the East Coast or the Midwest where we're at, you're not going to find Blue Note. So this could be a daily dram for a local or someone in the South. You said 20 states, right, Zika?
20 states.
Yeah, so this bottle's in 20 states. It's going to be too hard to find to be a daily dram, right? So, this could be a daily dram for you if you live in the South, but what if you move? What if you have to move for work or something? It's no longer a daily dram. You can't find this bottle. So I'm going to eliminate it from daily dram, although it fits that category perfectly. If this was allocated all across the country and you could find it everywhere for $35, money daily dram, right? And for that reason, Zika, I think it's very clearly for me a budget blend. It's one that you can throw in a Manhattan or an old fashioned or any other whiskey mixer. But also it's one that you could also pour neat and enjoy on the side, right? I think that's where I'm at. I don't think it's quite a Saturday night sipper. It doesn't rise to that level for me. Precious pour, absolutely not. Definitely not. If I were to get my hands on this bourbon, it probably falls into the budget blend category for me.
So let me ask you this before you finalize that answer.
It's already finalized.
Impress my guess. What is it about this bottle? It's got a cool, flashy label. It's the heart of Memphis. And it actually tastes pretty good. And it's a 93 proof. So why wouldn't you go with Impress My Guess?
I think the reason I shy away from Impress My Guests, and that's a great question, Zika, by the way.
I'll take it.
Great question. I don't think my guests are going to hear of this bourbon, right? In terms of the brand, Blue Note, I'd never heard of this bourbon in my life. Never seen it on a shelf. So I feel like just the brand itself, sure, I could pull it out, but if I had guests over, what's Blue Note going to mean to them? It'd be story time kind of, right? I'd have to work to impress them with this. It's not like Blanton's, which everyone's heard of. It is kind of your quintessential Impress My Guest, right? I know that's your favorite Impress My Guest bourbon.
Yeah.
The label's not so flashy that people are going to be blown away off the cuff. They're going to be like, what's this? I've never heard of this one. And now you're going to have to work to impress your guests, if you know what I mean, right? You're almost going to have to explain it into oblivion to get them to be impressed and then pour it out for them. So Impress My Guest did not jump off the page to me.
No, yeah, that's absolutely fair. I think that Impress My Guest is a stretch. So if this was the uncut, unfiltered single barrel, Impress My Guest, I think this would absolutely fall into if it's not, Saturday night sipper. But in this case, I think you're right. It's fantastic, but maybe a little bit of a flashier label, longer finish, right? I think that's the two things that kind of hold me back from really sticking it in the Impress My Guest category.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm not even going to Saturday Night Sipper or the PJ Fleck Precious Pour, right?
Skyuma.
But in this case,
Rowed a boat.
Yeah, we're rowing downstream.
We are.
Rowing downstream to the budget blend. I think it is.
Yeah.
I think I got to settle on the budget blend, man. I mean, it's a steal for under 40 bones. And then just the taste in general is fantastic to me. Could I make a Manhattan with this or an old fashioned? I think I could, honestly. At that 93 proof point, I'd like it a little bit higher, but at the same time, I think that the honey forward, that sweet oak, the caramel, the vanilla, and even that toasted marshmallow could be something that could shine through in a bourbon. I would probably make it a little bit more like 3 parts, 1 part, vermouth to bourbon.
Less bitter.
Correct. Yeah. I'd let that shine through a little bit more. So a little bit more bourbon in my recipe, but overall, I think budget blend is where it's at. Price point, it's something that I can enjoy. Definitely neat on the side, but also make some mixed drinks with it. I think it's a no-brainer here.
I'm a little surprised. I thought you might go daily dram with this one. That's where my gut, because usually I can kind of pinpoint where you're going to go. But usually, typical Zika, you're usually between like 3 of the 5 on the E5. I thought my guess would have been daily dram for you.
And it's strictly because it's in the South. Like and you'll see this on Facebook pages for sure. Like I've seen the uncut, unfiltered single barrel store picks like come up, where you can purchase them, right? But this one in particular, if I travel to Wisconsin, if I travel to Michigan, if I, travel to any like Midwest states, it's not there, like by any means.
Yeah.
So for that reason, I'm discounting Daily Dram. Again, very similar to why you said Buffalo Trace, but the funny thing is when I go home to Wisconsin, I can actually find Buffalo Trace. It's fairly available, fairly allocated, versus this one you'll truly never find in the Midwest.
Yeah.
And for that reason, Daily Dram, see you later, bye.
Yeah, and I think same with the East Coast, right? So when I go home to visit family out there, I ain't never seen Blue Note on a shelf out there. I've never seen this in my life. So it's a tough one for Daily Dram, but for, the price point, if you could find it, if you're in the South, if you're in Tennessee, you can snag a bottle of this. I think it's worth it. It's a solid pour.
So next week on the Bourbon Playbook, we're actually going to dive into a very cherry-forward cast strength store pick.
Ooh.
And rumor has it, this might be one of the best store picks with a little bit of Willet DNA in it. So
sounds precious to me.
And could be.
We'll see.
Time will tell. So tune in next week as we uncork the mystery and explore the flavors behind this unique pour.
Well, I'm looking forward to that. But to wrap this one up, Zika, let me get this straight, Zika. It's aged in Memphis, named after a honky tonk, and smells like a toasted banana?
Exactly, Ryan. It's kind of like Elvis in a bottle, and guess what? I ain't even mad about it.
Thank you very much. Yeah, Blue Note, solid pour, man. Cheers to you.
Cheers.